Before we move deeper into the journey of consciousness after death, we must pause and recognize a profound truth. What collapses in moments of fear is never the universe, it is the ego. And what appears as a demon in the darker passages of the Bardo is not an external being, it is the shadow we ourselves have created through our actions, emotions, and unhealed memories. Many ancient texts describe these experiences with symbolic language, earth-shaking, skies turning dark, deities appearing, or terrifying visions unfolding. But the Tibetan Book of the Dead is remarkably clear about its purpose. These visions do not exist to punish. They exist to awaken. As we enter what the text calls the second day of the Bardo, we arrive at one of the most psychologically rich and spiritually intriguing symbols in all of world literature, the karma mirror. And today I'd like to guide you through this moment not only as a religious metaphor, but as a profound window into the human mind. If you find meaning in this journey, I invite you to subscribe to this channel so we can continue exploring these deep intersections between ancient wisdom, psychology, and the human condition, philosophical, psychological, Western-friendly, and continuous with the introduction. On the second day, the departed consciousness encounters what Tibetan tradition calls the mirror of karma. At first glance, it appears like a scene from divine judgment, an immense mirror revealing every deed one has committed. But the text insists this is not a heavenly courtroom. Instead, it is a psychological event, a final interior process of self-integration. In modern psychological language, the karma mirror functions as the mind's last attempt to become whole. Freud would describe this as the collapse of repression. Jung would call it the emergence of the shadow trauma therapists would recognize in it, the beginning of re-experiencing, the very gateway through which healing begins. 1. The first karma mirror. The unconscious confronts the ego. Immediately after death, the ego still functions as though it had a body. It still assumes the world is solid, that identity is fixed, that its story continues forward. But as the body dissolves, the ego loses its anchor. It can no longer project outward. It can no longer hide behind distractions, social roles, or physical sensations. At that moment, the unconscious rises like a tidal wave. Everything that has been forgotten, suppressed, denied, or strategically ignored begins to return not as random memories, but as a seamless narrative. The Tibetans describe this as a visionary film. In contemporary terms, we call it the life review, often reported in near-death experiences. People who return from NDEs consistently say, "My entire life passed before me in an instant. But I wasn't merely watching it, I was feeling it again." This is the key. The mirror of karma does not replay memory. It replays emotion. It restores the full weight of one's choices, words, and impacts on others not as an external judgment, but as an inner reckoning. Far from being moralistic, this process is deeply therapeutic. The unconscious is returning emotional responsibility to the ego. It is showing everything you refuse to feel while alive must now be reintegrated. 2. The second mirror, the revelation of the shadow. Carl Jung once wrote, "The soul's maturity begins the moment one faces their own shadow." This is the essence of the second mirror. Here, the departed encounters not a deity, but the reflection of everything they rejected in themselves: anger, jealousy, selfishness, hidden desires, guilt, and unprocessed grief. These are not sins in a Christian sense, nor punishments from outside. They are fragments of the personality seeking reintegration. In Jungian psychology, the shadow contains all parts of ourselves we refuse to acknowledge. In the Bardo, the shadow finally steps forward. Tibetan teachers put it with elegant simplicity: The peaceful deities are the compassion of your mind. The wrathful deities are the shadows of your mind. In Western terms, we meet both our highest potential and our most denied self. And the message is clear. You cannot become whole without embracing the part of yourself you have spent your life rejecting. Only through this confrontation does the consciousness begin its ascent toward transcendence. 3. The third aspect, re-experiencing as the beginning of healing. The Tibetans describe the soul reliving its actions, the pain it caused others, the harm done intentionally or unintentionally. This is not punishment. In trauma psychology, this process is known as re-experiencing, and it is the first step toward healing. Human beings do not heal by forgetting. They heal by bringing what was hidden into the light of awareness. This is precisely what happens in the mirror. The soul feels again the anger it inflicted, the lies it told, the selfishness it justified, the opportunities for kindness it ignored. And as the consciousness relives these events, something unexpected happens. Guilt dissolves, fear softens, and what arises in its place is compassion. We might call this a moral awakening. The Tibetans call it the birth of wisdom. When the departed reaches this moment, they often arrive at a realization expressed beautifully in the text. If this is my shadow, then my mind can transform it. And if my mind transforms, so will the world around me. This is the breaking of illusion, the recognition that the outer world of the Bardo is a projection of the inner mind. 4. The fourth, meaning the mirror is not judgment, but mercy. Ultimately, the mirror of karma exists not to condemn, but to heal. It is not divine wrath. It is the mind's final opportunity to purify itself. Tibetan teachers say, do not fear the visions in the mirror. They are only your own creations. Recognize them and they become light. The scary images, monsters. Painful memories, feelings of guilt are not punishments. They are signals from the unconscious whispering, you are still capable of love. Even at the edge of death, even in the darkest corridor of the Bardo, the human mind still reaches toward integration, compassion, and awakening. If this exploration of the karma mirror has sparked something in you, a curiosity, a question, or a deeper reflection about the mind and its hidden landscapes, I invite you to subscribe to this channel. Together, we will continue our journey through philosophy, psychology, and the ancient wisdom of the Bardo, uncovering what it truly means to awaken. As we saw in the second day of the Bardo, the mirror of karma is not a tool for divine punishment, nor a celestial judgment imposed from outside. Rather, it is the mind's ultimate act of self-reckoning, a reflection of the shadow we carry, and a chance for mercy through fear. The frightening visions, the monstrous faces, the collapsing skies, they are not punishments but invitations. They call the consciousness to recognize a profound truth. Everything we perceive in fear is but a mirror of ourselves. Every deity of wrath, every terrifying illusion is born from our own unhealed desires, guilt, and attachments. Today we continue our exploration of the Bardo, moving from the second day's confrontation with shadow, fear, and karma into a deeper understanding of the transformative power of self-reflection. If this journey resonates with you, subscribe. Now your presence here fuels our shared exploration of consciousness, philosophy, and spiritual insight. On the second day, the departed encounters a colossal mirror, floating in the darkness. It rises like a fragment of the sky itself, immense and inescapable. Within its reflective surface, the entire life of the departed is displayed not selectively, not forgivingly, but completely. Every lie told, every cruelty enacted, every selfish desire, every act of neglect. The mirror is silent, yet it speaks in the language of the soul. This was your life, and now these seeds of karma, where will they lead you? The departed closes their eyes, but the vision does not fade. This is not mere observation, it is re-experiencing. All pain, all guilt, floods back into the consciousness, unfiltered, unsoftened. From the distance comes a deep, resonant sound, the beating of a drum. Dum, dum, dum. The third day approaches. The second day, then, is a moment of paradox in the midst of fear and darkness. A glimmer of insight emerges. Though the light has receded, leaving the consciousness adrift in a void, a faint smile begins to awaken. It is the recognition of the shadow, of the parts of oneself long denied. Yes, this was the shadow of my mind. If my mind can transform, then perhaps the world itself can transform. Yet, the moment this thought arises, the cosmic landscape twists anew. A new door opens, revealing even greater illusions, more formidable and intricate than before. The departed steps forward, willingly into this new experience, aware that retreat is impossible, yet emboldened by understanding. This is the essence of the second day in the Bardo. Those who fail to recognize the light of the first day are drawn deeper into the illusions of their own making. The peaceful deities are the mercy of the mind. The wrathful deities are the shadow of the mind. They are not two separate entities. They are the same mind, perceived through different lenses. If one does not awaken to this unity, the light retreats and darkness thickens. In this sacred text, the Tibetan Book of the Dead teaches, religion may differ, but the light is one. Whether it is the Bodhisattva of compassion in Buddhism, the Virgin Mary in Christianity, the Nur of Allah in Islam, or the conscience of an atheist, the light is singular. All appearances are but reflections of the same source, refracted through the lens of belief, culture, and inner consciousness. In other words, the deities, angels, and visions encountered after death are not literal entities to be worshipped or feared. They are mirrors of truth, appearing in forms that resonate with the mind's internal framework. Thus, when the consciousness confronts the mirror, it asks a question. Will you fear this light, or will you have the courage to see yourself within it? The answer determines the path forward. To close one's eyes is to remain bound by illusion, to face. The reflection is to step toward liberation. From a psychological perspective, the Bardo's mirror is strikingly analogous to concepts in modern psychotherapy. The re-experiencing of one's life, including unprocessed guilt, fear, and desire, mirrors the process of trauma integration. The mind, in extreme states, such as near-death experiences, returns suppressed memories for reconciliation. The shadow self emerges not to punish, but to invite healing, integration, and awakening. In fact, research on near-death experiences shows that the confrontation with light and consciousness is universal across cultures and religions. Whether one calls it bodhisattva, angel, divine, light, or inner conscience, the experience consistently reflects the mind seeks resolution, understanding, and unity even at the threshold of death. The second day of the Bardo, then, is a masterclass in self-awareness. Fear is not the enemy, it is the final threshold before transformation. The shadows, monsters, and terrifying illusions are not external, they are your own mind, inviting integration. The mirror asks not for penance, but for insight. And so, the text leaves us with a simple yet profound invitation. Recognize the light, embrace the shadow, and walk forward with courage. In conclusion, although religions, cultures, and beliefs vary, the underlying light, the truth of consciousness, is one. The Bodhisattva, the Virgin Mary, the Nur, and the human conscience are different, faces of the same mirror. The Tibetan Book of the Dead asks each of us, Will you fear the light, or will you have the courage to see yourself reflected within it? If this exploration has sparked curiosity, reflection, or insight within you, I encourage you to subscribe and like this channel. Your support is the light that guides us through these deep inquiries into the nature of consciousness, the Bardo, and the profound journey of the human spirit. Thank you for walking this path of insight and courage with me.